On this cool evening, I thought I would take the short train ride over to Shibuya and wander around with my camera and take a few photographs, and once again invite you fine people along with me. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see future content like this, I would really appreciate if you could like, comment and subscribe. Thank you. This evening I am once again using the Sony a6400 with the 35mm f1.8 prime lens by TTArtisan. Now recently I've been really enjoying this camera, but one thing I completely overlooked with this particular environment, it being nighttime in Shibuya with lots of these artificial lights, which I really like because it gives you really great photography. However, one thing I completely overlooked was adjusting my camera settings to adapt to that environment. As you can see, there are a lot of these light banding issues and flickering from the artificial lights. This is something that I only noticed in my editing stage, and I tried to correct it as best as I could. However, there are still some issues, as you can see from the previous photographs, and some of the footage. It's just something to be aware of for the future and to serve as a learning experience for sure. Now, I really love this shot. One of my favourite shots of the evening, I think, if you can excuse the aforementioned light banding and light issues. I really like that the subject, this man, is concealed behind the sheet but is still visible to give the impression of what he is doing without actually fully exposing what he is doing. I adore the draped plastic sheet on the left side of the image and the reflective property it has, and how it just slightly blurs everything behind it, the stools, the table and the man in the yellow shirt, leading us, the viewer, to wonder what is going on. I also really like this yellow arrow pointing at our main subject, pointing the viewer's eye to where we should be looking. I just really like this shot. Wandering down this street, I found this storefront interesting to look at, and as I was looking, the door swung open and the store owner emerged, which immediately piqued my interest even more. I found this interaction between the customers and the shopkeeper quite captivating. This is just one of the many things that I love about street photography. These spontaneous things will just happen right before your eyes, and you can either act fast to capture the moment or let the moment pass by forever. As you can see, this was down a fairly dimly lit alleyway, but with these vending machines lined up along the side of the alleyway, providing a really interesting light source to illuminate the scene and the subjects in front, I found the scene just really striking. I really like these shots, with those lovely light reflections on the glass, and the glass itself giving us a glimpse of these two men working behind the scenes. And with the glass being slightly dirty and the harsh reflections of the lights, although we can see the subjects beyond, they are not quite wholly in focus. They are somewhat concealed, which I find just adds to the scene and raises my curiosity. It's not every day I would stumble upon this scene, so I just knew I had to take some shots and get some footage. I appreciate that he positioned himself right in front of this nice green shutter. It just gives a really nice backdrop for the photographs, and I like the reflections of light glinting off his shades. Next, I just came across this really interesting storefront with the lanterns aligned above the door here and the neon sign. I just knew it would be a good backdrop. All I had to do was wait with my camera for a subject to wander into frame. Black or dark clothing stands in stark contrast against the well-lit and harshly illuminated backdrop and allows the subjects to really stand out, I find. And stumbling upon this scene down this alleyway, I really like how this particular shot is almost split into two separate horizontal sections, with the right side being well lit by this vending machine whilst the left side is left in relative darkness, and with the man wandering towards me only slightly illuminated by the storefront he is wandering by. This is a really effective contrast, I find. And here I just stumbled upon yet another one of these scenes that I really like. Another one of these really effective shots with this plastic sheet draping down over the storefront, concealing the subject beyond, while still giving an impression of the scene beyond the divide, maintaining some level of anonymity whilst also simultaneously piquing curiosity. And now just wandering down this side street, I was instantly drawn to this scene here, this scene beyond the window I found so interesting. And I really enjoy the subsequent shot that came from this. How this one subject in the foreground, this woman in the fur coat, seems to be gazing through the window, particularly at this one seated illuminated subject behind the glass, while all the other seated figures are left in relative shadow. I find this shot tells somewhat of a story, I suppose. Or at least there's a story I found when I was face to face with the scene. A story of longing, I suppose, with this lone fur-clad subject in the foreground, staring and longing for the warmth and the companionship of the seated subject behind the window. I really enjoyed this scene. I enjoy these reflections on the window, and I really like how this particular shot evokes a kind of loneliness or calm, I find. With the bustling streets filled with drink and laughter on the outside, all whilst this one lone figure remains stationary on the inside of this tiny cubicle, not moving an inch and merely looking on at the world beyond said tiny cubicle. As we know, the streets are far from calm and lonesome, but looking at this particular photograph, it is easy to imagine that that is the case. I really love this particular shot. How what is happening in the shot can be easily seen, easily construed by the viewer, but with both the cloth and the plastic sheet hanging down, concealing our subject's faces and image, still maintains that level of anonymity. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you will know that I do like a discarded bicycle. Everyone telling a story and evoking questions. Why is it here? Who left it here? When are they returning? Are they returning? I especially like this last shot, the composition being really pleasing. With the bicycle placed here and the light coming from both the lantern and the shut door, we can imagine a story of the owner of the bicycle and what he or she may be doing now. This is a very effective shot, I find. And stumbling down this dark side street, I really liked this particular scene and the subsequent particular shots. With the scene itself being quite dark and the only light source being this lovely warm light coming from the room behind the window, the scene we see behind the glass being quite busy and lively with people sharing good food and drink and laughter and companionship, safely nestled away from the cold and dark streets just outside, the street in which I am now standing. I like this quite stark horizontal split in the shot, the left side being completely filled with this wall, completely covered with all these interesting stickers and textures, while the right side being more open and showing a glimpse of the busy street beyond. I also really appreciate how the only thing in focus in this image is this wall with all the stickers, while everything on the right side of the photograph is so blurred and out of focus, seemingly evoking some sense of clarity and focus on even such a tiny, seemingly uninteresting thing amongst the chaotic, bustling streets of Shibuya. Next I wandered up these steps to get more of an elevated position and hopefully get some good shots. I really enjoy the uniform geometry of these particular shots, with the steps, the chain link fence and those striking slivers of light between the steps, and the two subjects coming down these steps to add an element of dynamic movement, an element of life to the uniformity and orderly nature of the scene. And now, looking out through this chain link fence, I absolutely adored the scene that I found. I just loved these really intense colours, with the darkness stretching out in front of me, with the cool blue light in the foreground illuminating these bushes, and that lovely warm light in the background shining out into the darkness and glinting on these train tracks. A lovely and really striking scene, and a really nice shot, I find. I really liked the strips of light running alongside the escalator, and these lines of the escalator itself, which act as kind of leading lines, leading your eye from the foreground of the image to the background of the photograph, only to be broken up with these subjects standing rather nonchalantly in the center of the image, on these steps engaged in conversation.
The yellow line on the step. Prep the ride.
And stumbling upon this scene, I really enjoyed this particular scene and these shots. Again, I love that the transparency of the window allows the viewer an insight into what is going on beyond the glass, but with these wooden slats and the slightly dirty window itself blocking a full view to maintain a little bit of privacy, a little bit of anonymity, I find that as a viewer, you are somewhat tempted. Your curiosity is piqued by all of this. You naturally want to know more of what is going on beyond the window. Similarly with the previous shot, I just love that the subjects are naturally exposed behind the window here, giving us a clear view of what is going on, but with each subject blocking a clear view of the other, each seated subject concealing the next subject, I find to be so effective. And I love the contrast in the framing of the image, with this brown wood all around being illuminated by this lovely warm light of the lantern and the cloth draping down over the door, almost perfectly framing the subjects and the photograph itself. This is a lovely shot, I find, and one of my favourite shots of the evening. This concludes my evening wander around the bustling streets of Shibuya. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I really do hope you enjoyed coming along with me. If you did and you would like to see more content like this, please, I would be ever so grateful if you would consider to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you again, and I will see you soon.